Good evening. Welcome to the Stanley County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. It is January the 5th, 2015. I'll call our meeting to order, and I'll ask Commissioner Eford to lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'd like to read a few scripture out of Psalms 136. It says, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks to the God of gods, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endureth forever. To him who alone doeth great wonders, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that is wisdom made the heavens, for his mercy endureth forever." Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we humbly come to you tonight, thanking you once again for the many blessings. And as it commands in the Scripture that we give thanks, thank you for this beautiful county that we live in. Thank you for the people in this county. I pray, Lord, for those who are sick, that you'll just take care of them, for you are the great physician. I pray, Lord, for those who have lost loved ones, that you'll just be with them and comfort them. And Lord, especially of all, I pray for our military and their families, for the sacrifices they make, that we can truly remain one nation under God. These things I ask in your name. Amen. If you would, let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Eford. The first item on tonight's agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I believe we have an item which would be presented by Sheriff Burris, would be item number 2. So I'll ask for approval.
I'd like to pull the off the consent agenda, the request for a new sheriff's car and the transfer of funding. I'd like to just discuss that as a separate line item vote, and no second is required for that.
D, from the consent agenda, you want to move
To the regular agenda.
to the regular agenda as item number 3? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
There's no vote needed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, the approval of the agenda, not on the heading.
Okay. All those.
Point of order, Madam Chairman.
Go ahead.
I think when you pull an item from the consent agenda, you can approve the consent agenda with that item pulled and then discuss that item. It doesn't have to be another agenda item. I'll stand corrected.
I'll ask the county manager.
I would likely defer to the county attorney. We haven't had a chance to research this. It seems like in the past, whenever we pulled something, we have made it put it in into the regular agenda. I don't necessarily know if that's it may be that you can just talk about it, Gene, but I guess if action's required, then I would think you'd have to have a place for it to take that action. But I mean, however the board wants to handle, as long as it gets discussed and there's action specifically to that item, and there can be discussion, I don't think it matters that much. So
I will concede my statement.
But we can research that and make sure we have an answer so that we do that properly in the future. Jenny?
Madam Chair, I found in Robert's rules on here that if you do extract an item from the consent agenda, you would add it as an item to the regular agenda. And the remaining items in the consent agenda can be addressed as they routinely would.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Farr. So now, do we have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries. The first item is our Public Schools Meeting Subcommittee, and our presenter is Andy Lucas, County Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Dr. Griffin is interested in beginning a conversation with our board about the process for any changes that the school system may make that are going to have a budgetary impact in fiscal year 15 and 16. And so she would like to have a subcommittee of this board meet with a subcommittee of her board through that process so that everyone can stay informed, and that subcommittee can bring information back to the full board. And obviously she'll make a presentation to us sometime probably in March or April in advance of her budget request in May. So the request is to have a subcommittee of 3 members. The proposed dates are there for you to consider. School system they're flexible with respect to a meeting time, and so the 2 actions they're looking for is 1 to assign that subcommittee, and then 2 give some dates that we can get back to them as potential meeting dates to begin that conversation with their subcommittee. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I would like to serve on that committee if they're going to meet at night. Dates sometimes might be a problem for me, but those dates look okay. But it needs to be a night meeting.
Okay. Is there any other commissioner who would like to serve?
I have no problem serving
Okay.
that committee.
We have,
I'll also be willing to serve.
okay, we have 3 commissioners, Commissioner Shudo, Commissioner McIntyre, Commissioner Burleson, who have agreed to serve on the subcommittee. Is there a preference for a meeting date and time now?
13th or 14th is fine. Any of those dates are fine with me.
They look okay to me. I
Yeah,
don't,
1 second, let me look at the calendar.
We do.
I would say the 13th. That's a Tuesday. The 13th would be fine. That's a Tuesday.
Does everyone agree with the 13th, Tuesday?
That's fine with me.
Is that okay, Picture?
Okay.
Can we get one more date just in case for some reason that in between the time she gave me this information and that something's changed, so we have a backup?
What's the preference of the board?
With the 21st, that would be the following Wednesday. Yep. Okay.
Fine with me.
Okay, so those dates would be January the 13th, Tuesday, and January the 21st, Wednesday. And I'll ask the county manager to pass this information along to Dr. Griffin.
Madam Chairperson,
Yes.
I'd like to, if that's okay, share. I got these numbers today from the school board. It's a list of all the schools, a list of the capacity, and a list of the current enrollment in the schools. If I could just share this with everybody, and just as an FYI, we have, of the 19 schools, we have 1 above 100% capacity, 3 between 90 to 99% capacity, 3 between 80 to 89% capacity, 2 from 70 to 79% capacity, 6 between 60 to 69% capacity, 3 between 50 to 59% capacity, and we have 1 at 49% capacity. And the second page has the racial makeup of the various schools. It's just for information.
Okay, and you're going to share that with the 2 other committee members? Okay.
I got a couple for the press too, if they want a copy of those.
Thank you, Commissioner Shudo, for this information. The next item on the agenda is the request from Sheriff Burris for uniforms for the Sheriff's Department. I'll ask Sheriff Burris to come forward, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My request tonight is to hopefully uniform the entire agency at the Sheriff's Office. I've given you a general quote. That is for detention officer pants and shirts. Patrol deputies' pants would be a little bit more expensive without the cargo and the stripe to look very professional. And then the long sleeve shirts would be more than that. To outfit the entire department, and boots, coats, and hats to look professional, because when we're outdoors, we need to look professional for you all, we need to look professional for our citizens. We're looking at a grand total of roughly $52,900. I'm requesting the 50, and with the other, I'm gonna pull from other parts of the budget to fulfill those needs. I have brought some of the uniforms we're wearing currently now, me included. These uniforms are roughly 7 years old. They've got holes, they've got scrapes, they've got tears, not as professional in the public as we as Stanley County citizens deserve. When uniforms get roughly 4 years old, when you're in a patrol vehicle day in and day out, it does tear on them, and we need new coats, our campaign hats, and if you've seen funeral processions, that looks very professional, looks very reverent to have the hats, and everybody needs a new coat. And then that's also one pair of boots to get them going. With this request and the money we currently have in there, I would not need any additional funds, hopefully, for the next budget year. I believe in taking care of your gear, and everybody at the Sheriff's Office knows how I feel about uniforms. I have brought, hopefully with your approval, if we get this passed, what we want for our new colors. We'll go with a black shirt. I've got a copy of the patch I can show you all later, and we're going to go with a gray pant. This will look a lot more professional. It'll be a lot more, it'll look better in the community and serve you all as the commissioners. I will ask for permission to bring these to the front and show you. I've also brought some uniforms. I just had, unfortunately, had a deputy retire. He's got in his years of service and his age, and so I commended him on staying with the Sheriff's Office for those years. So what I did, not to be biased and go pick out a bunch of bad-looking clothes, I brought his duty gear that he just retired and was using on the road. I think it's 2 shirts and 2 pair of pants. This is what the public is seeing out there, and I was wanting you guys to be aware of what they were wearing and what we were looking like in the public. So I got 2 pair of those for y'all to look at. As we look at this amendment, I hope each of you will take in consideration the pride public safety takes as far as their uniform, their vehicles, their appearance. We represent the great county of Stanley. We represent the wonderful citizens, and they represent you as a board. I would want to have the most professional agency in this county and in the surrounding counties. With the patch we've picked out, with the uniforms we've picked out, the boots, the coats, the hats, I think we'll be the premier agency in this county and surrounding counties. What I want is other counties and other sheriff's offices to come to us and say, we want to look more and be more professional like Stanley County. I have seen lots of folks go to other counties and look at their car schemes, look at their uniforms, look at their patches and say, we want to look more like Richmond, we want to look more Anson. Well, I want them to all look like Stanley County. So my pledge is that with your approval for this uniform amendment budget, that I will provide you with an agency that you can be proud of, but more than me and you, the great citizens of our county will be proud of, and we will look very professional. We will do a good job. And plus, on a side note, with the uniforms as in bad a shape as they are right now with the men and women I have working for me, this will be a big morale boost for the agency. It would be a big pat on the back for them for a job well done in their service to this great county, and it will definitely show them that we're putting Stanley County Sheriff's Office on the right track. I thank you for your time. I thank you for hearing me. Please, if you have any questions, hopefully I'll have some answers, and I can address those at this time.
Thank you, Sheriff. Don't go away.
Okay.
Before we continue and before the board addresses any questions to you or makes any comments, I'd like to call on the county manager so that he can give him an opportunity to share with the board any background information that he has that he feels is pertinent, and also to comment on the budget in recent years and the current year and any unused funds in that budget. so that we can address Sheriff Burris with any further questions or comments.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I was prepared to address both items, the vehicles and uniforms, but I will not address the vehicles at this time, given that he hasn't made that request. With respect to the uniforms, $17,750 was budgeted for the replacement of worn, torn, or in the case of new uniforms, if you have new people coming on the agency, and that's combined from the sheriff's office, school resource officer, and the jail. And that number is pretty consistent with prior budget years. We've stayed around that $15,000 to $20,000 range, and going back and looking at for a uniform budget for that replacement, making sure that any worn or torn uniforms are replaced, and that typically that full amount's not spent. There's just some amount of that money that doesn't get spent, and that's typical for a lot of line items in the budget. Some get overspent, some get underspent. To date, only 29% of that money, of that $17,750, has been spent. So that leaves roughly $12,500 that remains in that line item, or in those three line items between school resource officer, jail, and sheriff's office. $12,500 that remains. I think in these mid-year budget requests, staff would recommend that you evaluate these based on prioritized needs in the full context of the sheriff's office budget and the entire general fund, including economic development, education, public safety. That's been the past. Basically, in short, assessing needs versus wants. Keeping in mind the board will address priorities in 15, 16, and beyond at its strategic planning retreat in March, early March. It's been my experience that the board has been willing to address mid-year budget requests for items that are related to strategic issues such as economic development and utilities, items that have a definitive return on investment or add value to performance, and critical building or equipment issues that impact life safety. And the board has always been willing to look at those mid-year if there weren't sufficient funds. So I think the question this evening for the board is, to what extent does this request to replace all uniforms impact life safety, improve performance, or mitigate a life safety concern? So, and just note that, we will be, again, the board will be reviewing all of these budget requests from the departments, whether it be sheriff's office or the other 20-some departments that you have coming up in April or May. And so that's the context and some additional information for you all to consider this evening as you make an informed decision.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Does any member of the board have any questions of Sheriff Burris?
I just have a comment. I appreciate you saying you're going to get coats and hats and boots, because in your original request you said $50,000 and you laid out specifically what it was. And I did the math, and of the $50,000 to get the patrolman, the civil and administrative, you want to get them 3 sets of clothing. And I did the math on that, and everything you requested originally, that only came to $28,000, left $21,000 on the table. And with the $12,000 left from the previous budget that you haven't spent, that gives $33,000. I guess, would that be the cost to get the coats, boots, and hats, $33,000 approximately?
Yes, sir. Rough estimates on coats, boots, hats would be $25,000, rough estimate.
For those?
And then we're looking at patches for the uniforms also, and that's a lot of patches for the coats and a lot of patches for uniforms. Yes, sir. And another thing I was wanting to address to the board is with the vehicles that I'm not using currently. I've got 4 up here. What I'm wanting to do is sell those and then put that money back in the general fund, and with the board's permission, help show a line of good faith for me, because I want our guys to look professional. They deserve the very best, and that's why I'm coming with this important request. When we sell these cars, the money does go back into the general fund and helps kind of absorb the cost. My deal as a sheriff, and I've spoken to each one of y'all, I'm about taking care of the officers and it's public safety, and it's the professional outlook of them. And the new uniforms will not only boost morale 100%, it will do wonders in the citizens that I've spoke to along the way. And they are much needed, being most of them 6 years old.
My concern is we just spent millions of dollars for safety reasons, to get a new radio system put in place. And then with the quarter-cent sales tax not passing, we're going to look at, coming up with $775,000 a year for the next few years just to pay that off, and looking at safety. And personally, I'd be open to looking at this at next year's budget if it were presented in the, as we do our budget talks. I think we start, next month on our budget talks, or March? Starting early March on our budget talks. I'd be open to looking at it then, and I just could not support it today.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
some comments. I just find it appalling that the amount of money that we have allotted the past sheriff's department for uniforms should be sufficient, that they wouldn't have these kind of uniforms and having to wear them, and only having 2 uniforms per officer, that you'll wear them out pretty quick. And if you buy good stuff, it'll last. I think perception is everything. We have visitors coming to our county, and we need to look our best. We need to put our best foot forward. And I don't think it's too much to ask to approve this request. We're going to pay now, we're going to pay later. And I think that that we need to support a sheriff. We've supported our sheriff in the past, and I think we definitely need to support him now and in the future. And I'd just like to thank him and commend him. He's already saving us about $50,000 worth of grants to get weapons that are outdated. And it's a shame that our officers are wearing vests that are not even under warranty anymore. So if something happens that one of them vest doesn't work, then we're all in trouble. And I think that the least we can do is to outfit our officers. And once again, I thank Sheriff Burris for his due diligence, and I will support this. As a matter of fact, I'll make a motion that we approve this request for $52,000.
Madam Chair, I would also echo what Commissioner McIntyre has said, and also keep in mind, as Sheriff Burris has said, the equipment that is going to be sold, there will be funds coming back into the general fund.
we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I just want to clarify one thing. Sheriff Burris, the vehicles you're going to sell, plan to sell at auction, you say they'll come back into the general fund.
Yes, sir.
Will it be to be used for this type of expense, or are you wanting that money to come back for vehicle replacement, or can you explain a little bit more on that?
Yes, sir. It's at the pleasure of the commissioners. I would love to sell these vehicles. I'm gonna have probably 8 to sell at the auction in the spring. I would love to sell these vehicles and take that money and turn around and, yes, purchase a new car. That would be very efficient for our patrol deputies, being we've got 20 that's over 100-something thousand miles. I'm putting it in your hands. I would love to have that money reallocated to buy another car, but I would understand completely if you guys want to approve this and then use that car money further to help absorb the cost of the uniforms. As Commissioner McIntyre did say, we have got a $20,000 grant that is no match to the county. It's going to save the taxpayers thousands of dollars. We're going to be able to buy new weapons, new holsters, and ammunition. And we're also applying for a grant for $15,000 that will buy 27 under vest to keep our patrol officers safe on the streets. As we all seen of the 4 fatalities of officer shootings in the past month, this is top priority with officer safety. So that's $35,000 that we've got in grants that hopefully is coming real soon. That I'm trying to save the taxpayers money, but sometimes when it comes to uniforms and cars, that is a need.
Madam Chair, one other question. The $52,000 request, that in addition to the remaining funds that are available, or is that including, I think there's about $12,700 or so? So are you asking for 52,000 plus amount, or are you asking for 52,000 counting that 12.7?
I think the actual number for the request was 50,000, and that would outfit our entire agency. The 12,000 left over was going to be between the detention center at 7,000 roughly, and the office patrol, SROs, administration for the other part. That would be maintenance for the next year, sir, to keep up our uniforms so we're not in this shape in another year or two, because I plan on, if with your approval, we will get good uniforms and they will take good care of them and make y'all very proud.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
How many officers does the sheriff?
We roughly have between 85 and 90 uniformed officers. That's bailiffs, one per detective, SROs, detention, and patrol. So we have a lot to outfit, but we're going to hopefully get new pants, shirts, patches, everything to make these guys and girls look the very best for our citizens of Stanley County.
I just got a question to clarify. So you're saying you're gonna need $62,594 this year to do this?
The 50,000 is the initial buying, and then the 12,000 remaining, it will be upkeep and any additional uniforms. These are just 3 sets for the officers and
That's
3 shirts.
for the next, cause when's the budget end? June 30th, so for the next 4 months, you're gonna need $12,000 to
Well,
maintain them?
Mr. Commissioner, whatever we done use will be put back into the general fund. I'm not trying to take any money and not use it. I will use it very wisely. I've already shown that on my weapons grant or vest grant. I'm just wanting to do what's best for my agency and give the citizens the very best for their dollar. They deserve it. They pay taxes. We all do, and they deserve to look, our officers look their very best and to feel good about themselves and to feel appreciated and professional.
I don't think he's asking for extra money to take care of the uniforms. The officers take care of them themselves. He's just asking, he's got $12,500, he's asking for the $50,000 so he can buy the uniforms, and that's what my motion was to approve, what he asked for, the 50 or 52,000, whatever it was. 50,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a question. When you mentioned the 2 grants that you had applied for,
Yes, ma'am.
it's just the application has been made.
The grant has been approved for the 20,000. We're waiting on the money.
For the 20,000, and that's going to be put toward what?
New weapons, holsters, and ammunition.
Okay, so then the grant application for the vest has not been yet approved.
We're in the process of doing that right now, ma'am.
You're in the process of applying for it?
Yes.
Okay,
What it is, the Governor's Crime Commission pretty much says if the Sheriff's Office apply, they guarantee we're going to get it. Now, I can't sit up here and say we're 100% sure. I go on what the director has told us. And they said they're wanting to provide this money for sheriff's offices because a lot of sheriff's offices won't apply for it, so they never have to give the money. So they said, pretty much told us, if you apply, you've got it. So I'm taking them on their word for Governor's Crime Commission.
okay. Any further questions from anyone?
Call for question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it. 5-1 vote.
Thank y'all so much. We greatly appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Sheriff.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
will we subsequently amend this budget amendment? Because we're not gonna need 280.
Yeah, you're correct.
Buy a lot of uniforms, wouldn't it?
So
I will make a motion that we amend the budget to reflect whatever
To reflect the 50,000.
50,000 as opposed to what's on the
As
agenda
requested.
item. Yes.
okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, the motion is to approve $50,000 to purchase new uniforms.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
You're just asking to amend the. Yeah, amend the budget.
Mm-hmm.
What did I vote for originally? Did that first original one not count anymore?
That's a second vote, so it's a new vote.
Okay, I say no.
Okay. Let the record reflect a 5-1 vote.
Thank y'all.
Okay, our third item. What's our third item? The next item is from the Sheriff's Office to request approval of Budget Amendment Number 2015-23.
Okay, I just got a quick question for the sheriff. Guess we're into discussion, or
Go ahead.
someone need to I make a motion that we approve it.
The motion is to approve D.
Well, this is for the transfer of that we pulled out of the consent agenda, right?
You're
Yes.
making a motion to approve the item D.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just don't have no problem with it. I just was wondering why we're switching from Chevy Impalas to Dodge Chargers, which cost taxpayers a little more money. So I just want to, and then are you planning on replacing the whole fleet with Dodge Chargers eventually?
Yes, sir. I'd like to replace the whole fleet with Dodge Chargers. That is a top-notch patrol vehicle. The Impala is a smaller vehicle. It's a front-wheel drive vehicle. It is not a very good patrol vehicle. The stats show the Charger is bigger, it's more reliable, the motor's stronger, it'll last a lot longer, and which in turn saves the taxpayers money in future car and vehicle purchasing.
It's quicker off the line and it stops quicker.
I also, I believe I spoke to one of the deputies. I believe the fuel mileage on the Charger, is it not better than the Impalas because of the way they're built
Yes,
as far
sir.
as the idle time?
It's got the Eco on it, and so when it's driving, if you're going the highway, it drops down to 4 cylinders. So it runs off 4 cylinders instead of 8 cylinders, and it burns less gas, gets better fuel mileage, transmission stronger, motor stronger. It's just a better patrol vehicle. That's why 99% of the agencies have them as patrol.
We use those out in Locust, and we have no issues. There was, I think, 09, there was an issue with an alternator or something, but they've got that fixed. We don't have any kind of service issue, Peter, with those Dodges.
I think nationwide, the Dodges are certainly preferred by law enforcement.
ma'am.
Nationwide. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries. The next item, consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for public comment. If anyone wishes to come forth at this time, would you please limit your comments to about 3 minutes, and we'll be happy to have you. Seeing no one, hearing no one, at this time, I'll ask the Board of Commissioners, each one. Commissioner Ishido, do you have any comments?
Just a couple things. I just want to report. I'm on the board of the library board now, and we met earlier this month. And this is just their slow time of the year right now. They don't have, of course, summer is their busiest time at the library. Secondly, I did a work day today. I worked with Clinton in the tax appraiser's office today. I handed out dog tags, which was quite a nice little thing to do. And then also opened mail and received checks and money in the mail today. So that was a good thing. A couple of things I learned today, because I've been, Clinton and I opened mail for about, 2 hours or something like that, just real busy this time of year. Something about the dog tags. There's approximately 6,500 dog tags issued each year, and it brings in like $40,000. So really, that's not a money maker. It probably even breaks even, but the purpose of that is mainly a public safety issue to try to, track down dogs to owners and stuff. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Clinton, I wrote notes on the napkin as we were, not napkin, on the envelope while we were opening mail. That's not a check. I know. There were, let's see, $2.7 million is raised from untagged cars, boats, personal property, and business properties in the county every year is $2.7 million. And they mail out 7,300 mailings to the to personal property owners that have the boats and the boats and the untagged cars and the dogs, and 3,100 business property owners there. And then I left my list in the car, but the top 5 taxpayers in Stanley County, not in any particular order, are Alcoa, Union Electric, Duke Energy, Fiber Run, and Michelin are the top 5 taxpayers in Stanley County. So that's part of what I learned today. I want to share with y'all, and that's all.
Commissioner Lawhon.
I would like to report on some information about our Economic Development Commission. I am the commissioner that is appointed to that particular committee, and I want you as citizens and the board to know that I've already met twice with our EDC director, Paul Stratus. In one meeting, Andy Lucas was part of that meeting, and on an ongoing basis, I will be meeting with Paul Stratus, hopefully on a weekly basis, to keep current on economic developments that are going on within our county. Andy does a very good job, our county manager, of informing his board of the active number of prospects. And we get a report generally on a monthly basis giving that information. And right now, the EDC has 34 active prospects, suspects, or whatever you want to call those. I ask Paul to please categorize those prospects either hot, warm, or cold. And he responded to me, and he asked me, he said, when you say hot, do you mean something that might be announced within the next 12 months? I said, yes, that would be a hot prospect. So of those 34, we have 9 hot prospects that we hope that if we get 50% of those, I would be tickled to death in 12 months. But he said we had 9 hot prospects that an announcement could come forward because of those prospects. We have 5 warm prospects, and we have 19 cold, which means we need to clean our EDC prospect list up, which he's in process of doing. But I did want to give you that information that Paul shared with me, and I think it's important that we stay on top of the hot prospects and stay real close to the warm prospects. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lawhon. Commissioner Eford.
Thank you, ma'am. Sheriff, just want to thank you tonight for coming out and your staff. I commend you on wanting that department to be the best it can be. Representative Burr, it's good to see you again. I don't see you have any gifts or anything to bring, but we always welcome. Also, I'm on the Airport Authority, and if you hadn't been to Stanley County Airport, man, you are really missing something. What a gem we have in Stanley County, and I appreciate everyone, along with that made that airport what it is today. And again, thank you very much.
Commissioner McIntyre.
No comment. I've talked enough.
Commissioner Burleson.
No comment.
Thank you. At this time, we'll recess our meeting for going into closed session to discuss a real estate transaction in accordance with GS 143-318.11A5.
So move.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We're adjourned.